Hey there, people. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming back at you with a good one. Um, as you can tell by the thumbnail, I know this is going to piss off a lot of people on the left, but like I normally tell people, especially people on the left, because a lot of them are so damn ignorant, I usually tell them go kick fucking rocks. But if there's one thing that we can all agree on, is that when something's not right, the truth will come to light. Let's just put it that way. Dinesh D'Souza put out 2,000 Mules, and I mean, even people on Fox, they would not entertain it after all the proof that he was showing of all the voter fraud for the 2020 election. If you look at one of my other videos, I tell you that if you Google all the voter information, you'll see that there was actually a few million more votes tallied as opposed to how many people were registered. And the only way that can happen if it's fraud. Case in point. I'll put the link in the description for this video. It's by Benny Johnson. He's always on the ground, on the front line. But they got the proof now in Michigan that there was voter fraud, and not by a couple of hundred. No, from the estimates, tens of thousands of ballots, which means that Trump was right again. He won Michigan. It was stolen. So even though it's 3 years later, we can honestly say without a doubt, Joe Biden absolutely is an illegitimate president. But here we go. Here's the proof.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. Man, you gotta be careful with these subjects on social media, but the truth shall set you free, and we will bring the receipts today. We now have hard evidence of a Michigan State Police investigation into a massive voter fraud operation, and we will show you all of those details directly from Michigan State Police. It is beyond your capacity to deny the evidence put before you. Now, social media has always been awash in strange videos like this one from late in the evening at a vote tallying center.
Now, just quickly, you'll see this is the new Twitter. Now it's X. You see that right there. How much does anybody want to bet that if Twitter was still being owned by the left, that this video would be taken down from their platform as soon as it was put up? I'll bet everything I ever had to win that would have been the case. And I know a lot of people on the left don't like it, but I am so glad, and I thank God for Elon Musk buying Twitter. But here we go.
In Detroit, where a van at 3 a.m. in the morning drops off what seems to be massive cartons of something. This is after, of course, all of the election observers, those are, what looks like ballot boxes, after all the election observers had gone home, you may recall. And everyone said...
And it's funny that it's a van, just like in upstate New York. They have the van driver. He tried to speak out, but they silenced him, and he admitted they told him to get rid of a van load, or I think it was a couple of trips, van load full of ballots. And that was for the 2020 election. So if anybody comes out and says that Trump lost, I've always said that I have a strong feeling that New York someday will turn red. And I believe 2020 was that year. But again, these evil, wicked people, they keep fucking around. And you know how that saying is going around right now all over the internet. Fuck around and find out. And if anybody is paying attention, the left is falling apart. They are being exposed more and more and more. But let's keep going.
But that's a little strange. Why would people do that? That's not really strange. I've never seen an election like that in my life. I've been doing this for a long time. I am 37 years old. I've been a political nerd for a long time. I've never seen anything like it. What the hell is that? What is that? Well, they said it was mail-in ballots, you see. Mail-in ballots. This graph shows Joe Biden overtook President Trump's lead through a small number of vote updates, which broke overwhelmingly for Biden. How curious, in the early morning hours. You know, when they normally count votes, you see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we have a police report explaining what might have happened here. Are you ready? A recently released report from Michigan law enforcement unveils the concerning voter fraud incident involving a group funded by Joe Biden's 2020 presidential campaign. This organization, operating in multiple states, is implicated in submitting fraudulent voter registrations during October 2020. Following a raid, Michigan authorities discovered caches of prepaid gift cards, firearm equipped with silencers, and disposable burner phones throughout the 2020.
Now, this is what I'm not understanding. I understand that, you know, if somebody committed fraud, they want some incentives. What gets me is the part of the firearms or silencers. If that is true, I'd like to know who in the fuck authorized to pay somebody off to commit fraud with firearms and silencers. That in itself right there, this is where the FBI should investigate this if this is true. And so many agencies right now are under the Democratic regime that I would not be surprised if this is true, that the ATF, the FBI, they would not investigate the incentives that were given to commit this voter fraud. But we'll see. Here we go.
The election period, these Democrat election committees provided more than $4 million for this particular organization. You can see here from Biden, from the Democrat Senatorial Committee, from the DNC, from the Democratic Party of Iowa. Seems like a money laundering operation. Well, what did they end up doing? The investigation was initiated following the observation of Muskegon, Michigan clerk who noticed an individual depositing 8,000 to 10,000 completed voter registration applications in the city office on October 8th, 2020. Same individual returned multiple times, registering additional 25,000 voters. This is not normal. So they're registering maybe 12,000 people? Alarmingly, many of these registrations displayed identical handwriting with fraudulent addresses and phone numbers. Additionally, the signatures did not match those on file with the Michigan Secretary of State. And here are the receipts, ladies and gentlemen. You can see here. Numerous forms appear to have been completed with the same handwriter. Initial examination addresses multiple forms were invalid or non-existent. Mensch, this is the poll worker who works for the city clerk, investigated further and found phone numbers, multiple forms were erroneous, and signatures of multiple forms didn't appear to match signatures on file with the Department Secretary of State.
Very strange, huh? This is an official police report. Okay? Done, if you look at the date, on October 16, 2020. So, I'd like people to explain if this was a clerical error. No, it wasn't. This is being investigated by the police. 3 years ago, nearly 3 years ago. And not one media outlet got this information. But like I said, when you do wrong, the truth will fucking come out to light. So the Democrats, people better start waking up. The Democrats are evil and fucking wicked. Now, I'm not saying there's no fraud on the Republican side. I'm not saying that. But it's funny how when the Republicans lose a race and come out and say, you know what? It was fraud. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But if a Democrat screams foul, there has to be this giant fucking investigation, and it has to be given to them. Like what happened in California. All those Republicans won so many seats of different departments, and every Democrat bitched and moaned, and they wind up flipping the the election and giving it to Democrats. Disgusting. Very fucking disgusting.
This company was working to register voters and help registered voters obtain absentee ballots. This is, of course, according to the Michigan Department of State Police. These are real reports. These are legitimate reports. You can find them on file. Here are the archives. You can find them on file with the state of Michigan. In case you doubt it, you can go through it yourself and see. Read it for yourself. I encourage you to, actually. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go through and find here GBI Strategies. This is the organization. They got millions of dollars from the Black Church PAC. What do you know? Black PAC. All these dark money groups. Look at this. It's directly from the police report. Completed voter registration application. She filled out the form but did not sign it. Stated the signature at the bottom of the form was not hers, and she had no idea who signed the form. So they were like putting through fictitious forms for voter registration here. There it is. And this was bought and paid for campaign by Joe Biden and the DNC.
See, now one thing that comes to mind before I lose track, it's funny how this information is coming out now, and I could only think of one reason why. In my opinion, the left and the deep state, they're trying to get rid of Joe Biden. They're up to something. They're up to something. I've always said that the Democrats, they eat each other. They literally do. I mean, they'll fucking cut each other's throat in a fucking heartbeat. That's how cynical they are. That's how, I've always said they're a double-headed snake, that organization. They'll eat themselves. So don't be surprised if this will start coming out where it's going to go against Biden so he can't run, even though they're saying, oh, you know what, yeah, we want him to run again, but truth of the matter is, they have somebody else that they're going to try to fucking squeeze in and try to get rid of Joe Biden. So pay attention, people, to that. Pay close attention and see what the next few months, what comes up in the next few months.
And the Democrat Senatorial Campaign Committee. This is not new, by the way. There was a group called Acorn, which had over 500,000 members. That was effectively a vote harvesting operation for Barack Obama. The reporting is here from the Gateway Pundit. We now have proof. This is an exclusive. Massive 2020 voter fraud uncovers Michigan State Police find tens of thousands of fake registrations. Okay, so what are the main findings? The main findings, as evidenced, is the quantity of voter registration forms were highly suspicious and possibly fraudulent. Numerous forms appear to have been completed by the same writer upon initial examination by this person, and their multiple forms were invalid or non-existent. Phone numbers were erroneous. Those addresses did not match the house or city numbering system. Another form listed the address of the Muskogee High School. That is not a residence. Clearly fraudulent is what the Secretary of State analyst confirmed. A quantity of the forms found the investigation are clearly fraudulent. There's the receipts.
Now the thing is, how many were fraudulent? If I had to guess, well, you'll hear. It's a lot.
Wow. So this is how they did it. The 2000 Mules movie by Dinesh D'Souza. I actually had the honor of watching that. This lines up perfectly. Large voter harvesting operations that are able to deliver unaccountable mail-in ballots shoved into drop boxes. People using prepaid phones that cannot be tracked, dozens of new phones
Now look at this. I'm going to swing back just a little bit.
Not be tracked. Dozens of new phones.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me just go right here, and you guys can see something right here where it says nearly 3 years later, President Trump faces multiple prosecutions because he fraudulently pursued baseless claims of voter fraud. According to prosecutors and the mainstream media, Trump won the Michigan vote in 2016 by 15,000 votes, but suspiciously lost to Joe Biden by 150,000 votes. 4 years later, despite increasing his vote share in neighboring Ohio. Really? You know what the Democrats did? They cheated so bad that they were like an 18-year-old getting his first piece and blew his whole fucking load in one shot. Sorry about the disgusting, idea like that. I mean, lack of a better term or phrase or whatever you want to call it. But it's just that, if they would have said Joe Biden won by, I don't know, 500,000 votes, 500,000, almost 1 million votes, that's doable. You could say, you know what, that sounds kind of reasonable. But for Donald Trump, and I've always said this, for Donald Trump to get 10, 11 million more votes the second time around, the most ever in history, to then lose by 10 million more votes for a man that barely fucking campaigned. It makes you wonder why. If I had to guess, the real count probably would have been Joe Biden, like, let's say, I don't know, 50 million, 51 million. Trump by like 90 million. Give or take. If not, definitely the 80 million. But all the lefties are going to be like, no, you're fucking wrong. You're a MAGA. You're a cultist. You're an extremist. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. My answer to them, again, as always, go kick fucking rocks. You got your head up your ass. But let's finish this off.
People using prepaid phones that cannot be tracked. Dozens of new phones. My estimate is over 800,000 ballot applications were sent to non-qualified voters in Michigan.
Okay, 800,000 to non-qualified voters. Okay, there's only a couple of reasons for that. One, you're a felon. You can't vote. Everybody knows that. And two, you just weren't allowed to vote. Okay, because you probably voted once, or they just sent it to people in the Democratic side and said, listen, do us a favor. Take these boxes, take them home, fill them out, no problem. Or three, which is something that Eric Adams in New York wants to do, to get non-legal residents, okay, illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, to vote. And if I had to guess, that two of those out of that list, one being illegal immigrants putting in ballots in Michigan. Because that is a lot of votes. 800,000. That will definitely swing the presidency in any country. Any country. But let's continue.
And then here are the receipts. Here are the police reports. Read them for yourself. I encourage you to do that. Occam's razor, ladies and gentlemen, you know exactly what it is. The assumption, the conclusion that requires the least amount of assumptions to jump to, is the right one.
Exactly.
That's Occam's razor. What happened in the 2020 election? What happened with these crazy graphs where Joe Biden went, whoop?
It was stolen. Plain and simple.
A deeply sophisticated, potentially criminal operation for harvesting of ballots, potentially fraudulent. That's according to the Secretary of State and the police in Michigan. Not your boy Benny.
Well, look at that. By the Secretary of State and the police in Michigan. And Joe Biden's in power. So I want to hear the Democrats and the leftists say that, oh no, the Secretary of State and all the police in Michigan are lying. They're all Trump supporters. My answer to that is, okay, try again. My question to that is, why wait this long? Unless something is amiss in the Democratic Party. you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that with everything that's going on in the country, and everybody sees it. So everybody that's trying to play stupid, that's exactly what you are. You're fucking stupid. The reason why all this chaos is happening, because the Democrats were never supposed to be in power. They were never supposed to be in power. They stole the election, just like they stole the election in Arizona. I truly believe they stole the election in Philadelphia for Fetterman to get in. Definitely in California, there's no fucking way Gavin Newsom, even after a recount where they wanted to kick him out, for him to have such a low rating. He didn't even clear, I believe, 40%. How does somebody win with less than 40% of the vote? And then for him to automatically stop the voting. I've never heard of that, of a governor stopping the voting even before the votes are tallied up. These Democrats are blatantly in everybody's face, wicked and evil. It's almost as if they're sticking their tongue at you saying, do something about it. But you know what? Things are getting done. There is light being shed on that darkness. And I keep saying it because it's all, I mean, you see it everywhere. And I see it in the state that I'm in, which is a red state. I see a lot of minorities, especially black people. They don't believe that Biden won the presidency. Not for 1 minute. And they're disgusted with everything that's going on, especially with what's going on in Ukraine. They're disgusted for the way everybody's struggling. And this administration is just wasting taxpayers' money on everybody else, besides people in the United States. You know, that red wave that came through, the Republicans won that red wave. That's why they had to steal Philadelphia, Arizona. They needed key states to win, to keep implementing their fucking regime. You know, but anyway, hope you like what you see. Keep investigating, because more of this is going to keep coming out. I'm True Outlaw Patriot. Don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, click on the notification bell so when I put out another video you can see it. Pass this along. I'm trying to get the algorithm going and get a bigger crowd. And as always, stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Peace.